The bond between pets and their owners is often described as sacred and unconditional. Pets provide companionship, love, and loyalty, but occasionally the lines of trust blur in unimaginable ways. This article explores shocking cases where pets turned on their owners, resulting in tragic and bizarre incidents that stunned onlookers. Number 20. Stephen Miller and Bear. In one of the most shocking and tragic cases of animal attacks, a deadly incident involving a bear and its owner, Stephen Miller, serves as a grim reminder of the unpredictable nature of wild animals. Stephen Miller was an experienced animal trainer who worked with exotic creatures for movies and television, earning a reputation for his unique ability to bond with large, dangerous animals. However, on April 22, 2008, tragedy struck at a training facility in California when a 700-pound grizzly bear named Rocky, one of Miller's prized animals, attacked and killed him during what was supposed to be a routine training session. Rocky had been trained to perform in films and commercials, including a notable appearance in a promotional video for Will Ferrell's movie Semi-Pro. On that fateful day, while rehearsing a staged wrestling scene, the bear suddenly turned aggressive and delivered a fatal bite to Miller's neck, severing his carotid artery. Despite immediate efforts by staff to subdue the animal with pepper spray and call for emergency assistance, Miller succumbed to his injuries before help could arrive. Number 19. Leon Van Biljon and his lions. Leon Van Biljon, a wildlife conservationist from South Africa, famously known as the Lion Man, tragically became a victim of his beloved lions in 2019. Van Biljon owned the Mahala View Lion Lodge near Pretoria, where he cared for and raised several lions as part of his passion for wildlife preservation and education. While he was deeply committed to these majestic predators, his relationship with them ended in a harrowing incident. On the fateful day, Leon entered the enclosure to repair a broken fence, an action that unexpectedly triggered an aggressive response from the lions. As he attempted the repair, one of the lions attacked him, and soon the others joined in. Despite his extensive experience handling lions and understanding their behavior, this tragic encounter highlighted the inherent unpredictability and wild instincts of such animals, even when raised in captivity. By the time help arrived, Leon had succumbed to the injuries inflicted by the lions he had spent his life protecting and nurturing. Number 18. Kelly and his bear. Kelly, a wildlife enthusiast and aspiring exotic animal trainer, had raised a grizzly bear from a young cub, believing that their years together had forged a connection strong enough to transcend the bear's primal instincts. For years, Kelly showcased the bear in his backyard, captivating friends and neighbors with displays of trust, like feeding it by hand or playfully wrestling with the enormous animal. However, tragedy struck one fateful evening when the bear's instincts overtook its domesticated demeanor. Witnesses and reports indicate that the bear suddenly turned on Kelly during feeding time, mauling him in a swift and brutal attack. Experts later explained that wild animals, no matter how well trained or seemingly affectionate, remain unpredictable, especially as they mature and their natural instincts become more dominant. Number 17. Terry Thompson and Tiger. One of the most infamous cases of an animal attack involving an owner is the story of Terry Thompson, a man from Zanesville, Ohio, whose exotic animal collection led to one of the most shocking incidents in recent history. Thompson, known for keeping a private menagerie of dangerous wild animals, released dozens of them, including lions, tigers, bears, and wolves, before taking his own life in 2011. The release triggered a massive public safety crisis, as residents of the area were placed on high alert. Among the animals released was a tiger, one of the most fearsome predators in his collection. After Thompson's death, the tiger, like many of the other animals, was found prowling near the property. Though there is no evidence that this tiger specifically consumed Thompson, some of the animals on the scene did display signs of scavenging his body. Authorities were left with no choice but to euthanize nearly all the animals to protect the public. Number 16. Charla Nash and the chimpanzee. Charla Nash's tragic encounter with a chimpanzee named Travis is one of the most infamous animal attack cases in modern history. Travis, a 200-pound chimpanzee, was raised by Sandra Harold in Stamford. He was trained to perform various tasks, such as dressing himself and drinking from glasses, and had even appeared in commercials. However, in February 2009, the seemingly domesticated animal turned violent. The incident occurred when Charla Nash, a close friend of Harold, came to help retrieve Travis, who who had escaped. For reasons that are still debated, the chimpanzee suddenly attacked Nash, unleashing a brutal assault that left her with life-altering injuries. The attack was so vicious that it tore off Nash's hands, eyelids, nose, and lips, leaving her permanently disfigured and blind. Emergency responders described the scene as horrific, with the chimpanzee showing no signs of stopping until he was eventually shot and killed by police. Charla Nash underwent multiple surgeries, including a groundbreaking full-face transplant to rebuild her life after the attack. Number 15. Marius Els and his hippo. Marius Els, a South African farmer, made headlines for his unusual bond with a 1.2-ton hippopotamus named Humphrey, whom he raised from the age of 5 months. He often swam with Humphrey and fed him, sharing stories of how the hippo responded to his calls and allowed him to ride on its back. Despite warnings from wildlife experts and the well-documented dangers of hippos being one of the most aggressive and unpredictable animals in the wild, Marius believed Humphrey was different and that their relationship was safe. Tragically, his trust proved misplaced. In 2011, Humphrey turned on Marius in a violent attack, fatally mauling him and dragging his body into the river. The incident shocked the world, serving as a grim reminder of the inherent unpredictability and danger of wild animals, even those raised in captivity. Number 14. Connor and Noah Barth and Python. In 2013, the brothers, aged 6 and 4, were staying overnight at a family friend's apartment in Campbellton, New Brunswick, which also housed a large African rock python. The snake, an illegal pet in the area, reportedly escaped from its enclosure through a ventilation system. Without warning, the massive python entered the room where the boys were sleeping and attacked them. Experts believe the python acted on its natural instincts, likely mistaking the children for prey. Both Connor and Noah tragically lost their lives due to asphyxiation caused by the snake's powerful constriction. The incident shocked the world and sparked widespread discussions about the dangers of keeping exotic animals as pets, particularly those with predatory instincts. Laws regarding exotic pet ownership were tightened in Canada after this tragedy, aiming to prevent similar incidents and ensure public safety. Number 13. Jaroslav Jarol Roush attacked by deer. Jaroslav Jarol Roush, a well-known Czech gamekeeper, met a tragic end in 2021 when he was fatally attacked by a deer he had cared for over a decade. Roush had raised the animal from a young age, and while many perceived their bond as a testament to the deep connection humans can share with wildlife, it also underscored the inherent unpredictability of wild animals. The deer, a large stag in the rutting season, became unusually aggressive as its hormonal drive to assert dominance peaked, a common behavior during this time. Roush entered the enclosure to feed and check on the animal when it suddenly turned on him, using its antlers to impale and injure him fatally. By the time emergency services arrived, Roush had already succumbed to his injuries. The attack shocked the local community and raised awareness about the dangers of keeping large wild animals in captivity, even when domesticated from a young age. Number 12. Terry Vance Garner and his pigs. Terry Vance Garner, a 69-year-old farmer from Oregon, met a tragic and shocking end in 2012 when he was devoured by his own pigs. Garner, who had a reputation for being kind and gentle with his animals, went out to feed his herd of pigs one afternoon and never returned. Concerned about his absence, family members went looking for him and were horrified to discover parts of his remains in the pig enclosure. The pigs, some of which weighed over 700 pounds, had consumed most of his body. Authorities were unable to determine exactly what transpired, but two theories emerged. Garner may have suffered a medical episode, such as a heart attack, and collapsed in the pen, or one of the massive pigs could have knocked him over, leading to fatal injuries. Pigs, though commonly associated with farm life and domestication, can exhibit aggressive behavior, especially when stressed, hungry, or threatened. Number 11. Nga Muhammad attacked his pet monkey. Nga Muhammad, a man from Malaysia, tragically became the victim of an attack by his pet monkey. The incident occurred when he was reportedly playing with the animal, which he had raised for several years. The monkey, a species known for its intelligence and strength, suddenly turned violent, attacking Muhammad in a frenzy. Despite the man's attempts to defend himself, the animal inflicted severe injuries. Monkeys, particularly those that are raised in captivity, can sometimes display aggressive behavior due to a range of factors, including stress, territoriality, or a lack of proper social socialization. Although such incidents are rare, they highlight the unpredictability of animals and the risks of forming close, unguarded relationships with species that may be more prone to aggression. In this tragic case, the monkey's behavior seemed to have escalated into an uncontrollable attack, leading to Nanga Muhammad's death. Number 10. The grizzly bear attack on Timothy Treadwell. The tragic case of Timothy Treadwell, an environmentalist and self-proclaimed bear whisperer, serves as a haunting reminder of the unpredictable dangers posed by wild animals. Treadwell spent over a decade living among grizzly bears in Alaska's Katmai National Park, where he filmed his interactions with the bears and documented their lives. He believed that by immersing himself in their habitat, he could protect these creatures from harm and raise awareness about their conservation. Unfortunately, in October 2003, Treadwell and his girlfriend, Amy Huguenard, were attacked and killed by a grizzly bear. The bear, which had been scavenging for food, attacked the couple during the night, dragging them from their tent. After their deaths, it was discovered that the bear had consumed parts of Treadwell's body, including his remains. Treadwell's belief that he had developed a unique bond with the bears led him to underestimate the risks, and this ultimately resulted in his and Huguenard's untimely deaths. Number 9. Al Simon and his pet bull. Al Simon was a 55-year-old man from rural Florida who shared his home with a pit bull named Max. Max had been with Al for several years, and the two were inseparable companions. Al had adopted Max from a shelter, and although he had been warned about the dog's history of aggression, he believed he could manage the behavior with love and care. Over time, Max became increasingly protective of Al, and his temper seemed to worsen. One evening, after Al had fed Max and spent time playing in the yard, something seemed off. Neighbors reported hearing loud growling and barking, followed by an eerie silence. When authorities arrived, they found Al's lifeless body in his living room, partially devoured, with Max standing nearby. The dog had attacked, and, tragically, it wasn't the first instance of such behavior in the dog's history. Max's aggression had escalated over the past few months, but it seems that Al, perhaps out of attachment, did not take the signs seriously enough. Number 8. Martin Hajos and his cassowary. Martin Hajos, a man from Australia, tragically became a victim of a deadly encounter with one of the world's most dangerous birds, the cassowary, in 2019. Known for their striking appearance, these large, flightless birds have a reputation for aggression, especially when they feel threatened. Hajos, who had a passion for wildlife and had been raising a cassowary on his property, reportedly had an unfortunate incident when he was attacked by the bird. Cassowaries are equipped with powerful legs and sharp dagger-like claws that can easily cause fatal injuries. In a tragic turn of events, Hajos was found dead after sustaining severe wounds from the bird's powerful strikes, particularly from its claws, which are capable of disemboweling a predator or intruder. This tragic incident is one of the few documented cases of cassowaries killing humans, but it underscores the need for caution when interacting with wild animals, particularly those with inherent instincts for survival. Number 7. Pam Weaver and his camel. Pam Weaver, a woman from the UK, met an unfortunate and tragic end when she was killed by her pet camel. Known for her love of exotic animals, Pam owned several camels on her farm. However, her relationship with one of them, a large male camel, turned fatal. The animal, which had previously been docile, became agitated and attacked her, causing severe injuries. Despite her efforts to escape, the camel's strength and size made it impossible for Pam to defend herself. She was found later in a gruesome scene that shocked her family and community. This incident is a rare but not unheard of occurrence involving exotic pets, as camels, known for their unpredictable behavior, can sometimes become aggressive, especially if they feel threatened, stressed, or unwell. Number 6. Sandra Piovesan and her wolf dog. Sandra Piovesan, a Brazilian woman, tragically became one of the few known cases of a human being consumed by their own pet. In 2018, Sandra and her wolf dog, a hybrid breed known for its loyalty but also unpredictable temperament, were living on a farm in São Paulo. The animal, a cross between a domesticated dog and a wolf, had been with Sandra for several years, and she was known to share a close bond with it. However, the hybrid breed, with its wild ancestry, can have unpredictable instincts, especially when under stress or if a change in the environment occurs. In this instance, it is believed that the dog, likely under duress or territorial instincts, attacked Sandra in her home. The situation escalated quickly, and in an incredibly disturbing turn, Horn, the animal turned on Sandra, killing her before beginning to feed on her body. As a result, Sandra's body was partially consumed by the wolf dog before authorities arrived. Number 5. Ronald Half and his monitor lizard. Ronald, a passionate reptile enthusiast, had kept various exotic animals, including the massive monitor lizard, which he had reportedly grown close to over the years. The lizard, an Indonesian species, had been a companion for almost a decade. However, it was later revealed that the animal had exhibited increasingly erratic behavior, likely due to a combination of stress, hormonal changes, and improper care. Authorities suggested that Ronald, who was found partially eaten, may have suffered a medical emergency, possibly a heart attack, leading to him collapsing in the reptile's enclosure. Unable to differentiate between its owner and prey, the monitor lizard attacked, starting with the more accessible parts of his body. It is believed that the lizard, possibly feeling threatened or starving, began feeding on Ronald's remains, which might have been exacerbated by the isolation of the situation. The monitor lizard was eventually subdued and removed from the scene. Number 3. Mark Voegel and his exotic pet. Mark, a well-known animal enthusiast, had a collection of dangerous creatures, including a large carnivorous exotic pet, which he had kept and cared for over several years. This animal, a massive species of reptile or perhaps a large wildcat, had been part of his household for quite some time, yet it still retained its natural predatory instincts. The attack occurred when Mark, who was known for his hands-on approach to animal care, either misjudged the behavior of his pet or it suddenly became aggressive. The exotic pet, potentially spooked or hungry, turned on him with a swift and brutal force. As horrifying as the situation was, the animal's actions were not entirely out of the ordinary for such wild creatures, which, despite being domesticated, can react unpredictably. The tragic nature of the event was heightened by the fact that Mark's pet had previously been seen as a beloved companion, not an immediate threat. It wasn't just Mark who suffered in this horrific encounter. His exotic pet, which had lived in his home for years, also met an unfortunate fate. Number 1. Siegfried and Roy's tiger attack. The infamous tiger attack on Siegfried and Roy, two renowned animal trainers and magicians, occurred on October 3, 2003, during one of their performances at the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Their act, which had become famous for featuring white tigers, was a highly anticipated spectacle. However, during the performance, a white tiger named Manticora unexpectedly attacked Roy Horn, one of the duo's stars, while he was guiding the animal across the stage. The tiger, usually well-trained and a centerpiece of their show, bit Horn by the neck and dragged him off stage, causing severe injuries. The attack was sudden and shocking, as Manticore had never displayed such aggression before. Although the trainers had a close relationship with the animals, the tiger's attack resulted in Horn suffering from life-threatening injuries, including partial paralysis. The reasons behind the attack remain uncertain, but some speculate it could have been triggered by confusion, fear, or protective instincts. In the aftermath, Siegfried and Roy were devastated, and Horn's recovery was long and difficult.